Let's see. I do. Got it.
Beautiful.
Are
Hi.
we good?
We are good. We are live.
Awesome. And it's good communication today.
Yeah.
Appreciate your connection, Elle. Thank you for inviting me to this event, the one-day event for you.
Yeah. It was so great. I'm glad we're doing this recording and giving a chance for people who couldn't come live to be able to hear your wisdom and your sharing. And so, it's just been a power-packed experience with all of these different leaders and the themes that are running through, which I find really interesting too. So I would love for you to introduce yourself, Tim. So everyone, I'm Elle Ingalls. I am the creator of the Pressure Free Method, and I'm doing these one-day conferences to really make an impact with people around the globe on certain subjects. And this one today is how to be a leader without all that burnout. How to, really step into your full leadership, whether you are leading a family, you are leading a company, you are leading your own business. So leadership shows up in our life in so many different ways. And Tim, I'm just so glad you're here. Tim and I have been together for a while, 2017 December, correct? Or 16?
16. Yeah. We're 1 year off always on that, but yes. It's been an incredible journey with you, Elle, and I appreciate you. And yes, we've been together for quite a few years as accountability coaches with each other. And I say coaches because we're both helping each other to be successful in our businesses. And in that process of accountability, we also learn about each other quite a lot about each other's programs as well. I'm with Tim Felmer. I'm with Salted. I am a leadership coach. Work with group coaching more than individuals, and I have a program that's designed around really bringing leadership levels up to world class. And I always introduce my courses in the beginning, asking leaders, do they feel their businesses are world class? And a lot of them look at me like, well, what is world class? We're just a 20-person company, maybe 100-person company. And I always talk to them about how it's really a mindset and how they act every day, how they behave every day. Are they very in tune with their clients in terms of their mission and their vision? And we do a lot of things like that. And I reflect back to how your son had presented his piece where he is really pushing out vision and values and how personally you get connected to yourself. And when I'm in a process with my teams, I really look at, is their vision and values personally connected to the vision and values of their business as an individual? And that can be a struggle with people these days. Last year, which I really look at as the lost year of 2020, that disconnect and connect is going to be really important coming into 21 and 22 in how, okay, they were working from home and all of a sudden those vision and values aren't in front of you every day. And your connection to the people around you and the presence of the people around you, it's not the same anymore. Looking through a video screen is not the same as being connected physically in the same room. So a lot of what I work with on teams is just that, keeping people connected with each other and their personal vision and values to the team. Because if you don't have that same, and I go over this with teams, is if you're not connected in that same way, there's a good chance you're in the wrong place. And when I think of pressure free, I think, okay, what are the stressors on people? And that's one of the biggest stressors that I run into is their connection to themselves and their values aren't connected in the same way as a company value. And when you're trying to fight that battle, saying, okay, these are my guidelines, this is what keeps me on that journey, keeps me on that road every day of life, and suddenly there's a separation between the values you have and the values a company has, that's going to throw you off a little bit. and
Yeah.
a lot of people, a lot of it. So as I work with teams in that process, we talk about the vision and values. And again, leadership concepts are kind of a melting pot these days. They've been for years, and I'm not talking last few years, I'm talking thousands of years of concepts that come into training programs in many different ways. And I always talk training programs where mine is a development program. I really develop people. And it is, as they say, an inside out process. I learn about myself. I learn where I am, where I came from.
Oops, I have a
I
little,
want to go.
had a little blip there, Tim.
Looking back is really important. Yeah, looking in that process of inside out, you really have to know yourself and how you fit. Because again, when you're looking at stressors on life, it doesn't take a lot to throw you off.
Oh,
And I'm going to go back to 2020. It threw a lot of people off. And now this year, people are coming back and becoming more connected. And I'm really surprised. We're halfway through 23, well, almost 3/4 of the way through 21, and there's a lot of businesses that aren't truly back up and operational yet. They still have people working from home. They still have people disconnected. And as 21 wraps up, you're getting into 22. That's where my program really helps a lot of businesses and their teams reconnect with each other. Because as you separated, you started to lose a little bit of the connection and the values that you were connected to your business before. Well, now you need to reestablish that again. Let's get back to those. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm really curious, Tim, about the alignment of the person and their values, the company values, but even another step is like with the leader of the company's values.
Yeah, that top leader you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
The one that started the company, started the business, and they always had that vision. And suddenly you have 5 or 6 more strong leaders that are coming in. And believe it or not, you get some push and pull on that vision sometimes at the top. And that can be a big challenge for organizations as they're growing. Because remember, what is culture? Culture is a accumulation of everybody. It's not just culture of the single one leader at the top, which they try and reinforce their culture. But as you build your company, maybe 3 years, 4 years, 5 years into it, you have a lot of different values that are independent of the organization. So that reinforcement of the vision and values, the mission, the organizational goals has to be repeated over and over from that senior leader. So that's as businesses grow, there's number one issue that I see is keeping that consistent message of who that organization is. And in the hiring process, making sure that the behaviors of the new people coming in match the behaviors and the vision and the values of the organization. And I do remember many years, it's been 20 some years since I went through an interview, but I was asked what my vision was and what my values were. And when I got into the business, I felt like I was at home. I felt like I was in the right place. And that really makes a difference. And one of the things I do with organizations is I do some behavioral assessments as well. So when you start looking at the behaviors, again, behaviors are established and developed very early on in life, between about 2 years and 5 years of age. So that's behaviors. And then from there, your personalities start to come out. Personalities are developed around your experiences that you have. And they are the things that sometimes you see that go off course, but your behaviors don't ever change very much. So I do a lot of that with organizations as well. So we get a good match of people to the organization values. And that's part of the coaching process that I work with businesses.
So one of the things that I think when you bring this into is the idea of diversity and bringing people from different family cultures, different backgrounds, et cetera, in. When you're talking about the deep-seated values, though, those cross all cultures. Like I've seen this.
Oh my goodness, yeah, they do. They cross everything. I mean, there's no matter how you look at it, the backgrounds of everybody. But you know what? There are some core values that do pull people together from no matter where you come from. Looking back at the basics of safety and what you need. I was having a good conversation this last weekend with somebody, and this particular person just talked about she has to be in a place that there's no chaos. And I said, well, define chaos. And she goes, well, when things just don't go quite right, it doesn't go well for me.
You said a little blip.
Those are things that are basic to our needs. Those are basic things to our needs, which is safety. And that's part of building a good, strong culture, building a strong team. A lot of things you hear today are biases, and how do you look at each other and how do you get rid of that? And it's like, I don't know if you can ever get rid of it. You can't get rid of biases, because those are things that made us who we were, but it's identifying that we do have some and working through that and accepting, being open, looking for the things that are good in people versus, whatever you look for, you're going to find,
right?
Whether it's good or bad, you're going to find it. And that's the thing that I coach often is, are you looking for the good in that person? Are you bringing out that good in that person? Because if you're not looking for the good and you're not looking for the positive, you're going to find the opposite. And that's one of the biggest challenges. A lot of our mindsets are really based on control when we're young. It's kind of like in the classroom. You can't speak until you raise your hand. If that's what you were taught, and you get into a corporate meeting, people aren't waiting for you as a leader to raise your hand. Right. They really aren't. They want you to express themselves. They want you to give them your feedback. But unfortunately, we were just taught in certain ways as young kids coming up. And I'm talking my era, maybe different today, but I don't think it's changed that much. But there's just a lot of controls when you're younger that seem genuine, but they really impact you as you become an adult and become part of a team. And in a leadership role, you want to teach people to express themselves. You want people to give their opinion.
Right.
And, if they are doing that, they feel part of the team. They feel safe as part of the team. They feel that they're getting that essential piece of teamwork.
Of all of our speakers, you're bringing up safety. And for each one of us, like if you grow up in a home, my husband and I didn't raise our voices a whole lot. So remember when our middle son went to school, I pick him up at the end of the day and he's practically in tears with worry about his teacher for having to yell all day. Now she was just using a raised voice, but to him that was yelling. So when that person that you referred to said, I can't be in chaos, for some people, chaos is simply a raised voice.
Yep.
That is a trigger. That will trigger the stress response because either they weren't used to it or something happened in their childhood where a raised voice was accompanied with other threats or situations. And so we bring all of that in to our workplace.
We do. And again, that's when you say it that way, then you have the exact opposite where people have come from environments that have been very difficult, very challenging. So they walk into a leadership team and they're not used to the open discussions. They're not used to that. It's exact opposite of what you had just said. Because I do know the people that have come from a home that's loving and caring, and you can express yourself.
Right.
But on the exact opposite, Al, I think I see a lot more people that come from environments that are a little bit more tougher on them. You got to raise your kid with an iron fist. You got to do this. You got to do, there's so many things that are out there, and it just prevents that, that honest discussion.
I think we
because
also have,
they're not sure when they're going to get yelled at.
yeah, we have the first adults right now that might not have had much of a stable home because we had
Yeah.
a high divorce rate, we had a high daycare rate.
Yep.
So so they had a lot of different people raising them or situations. So that
Right.
plays a role too in what people, is there stability? Is there,
Yeah.
is it a little chaotic? And am I people pleasing because I don't know who mom's going to bring home next, or,
Well, yeah. And I talk about it in the process with teams is, even talking about accountability. What does
oops.
accountability mean? And there are so many people look at accountability as they look at accountability as a negative. I'm going to hold you accountable. You and I have an accountability discussion every week. And our discussion is positive. Did
Yes.
we get things done that we said we were going to do? And for you to ask me that, I want you to. But if you come from an environment where you've been held accountable in a negative way, that can be a tough discussion.
Yeah.
Let's have an accountability discussion. Ooh, you get so many people that shy away from that. They don't really know what accountability is. And I say accountability is me being your friend. I really am your friend. I want to help you be successful, be as successful as you can be. And everybody has a different level of what success is. And I can elevate that a little bit more. And again, that's just part of the process that I work with teams on, is to understand the terminology and understand the expectations of each other in those processes. Being responsible, when you talk about responsibilities, what does that mean? How does it look? But as a team, we want to be responsible for not just the things we do, but the things around us. I'm responsible to get this job done. That's my skill set. I'm going to do it. I'm an accountant. I know how to do that. I'm an operational specialist. I know how to do that. But what is responsibility and how does that tie into accountability? So those are the things, we just talk a lot about in our processes. But again, if you're not doing the things that you say you're going to do, you're not getting those things done. You're not taking responsibility. And sometimes I can take responsibility of things that I did not cause. That's still taking responsibility.
Right.
You have a lot of leaders come into positions that it was the previous leader that may have lost control of things, may have not gotten things done, but I can still take responsibility of the new things that's in front of me now.
Yeah.
So that's part of the focus. But if you do those things, you have less triggers, you have less stresses.
A couple of things are coming up for me. When I was running the symphony, I really paid attention to my frontline people, the people who are selling the tickets, who are on the front lines, who are dealing with donors, people who's coming in the door. I had a really, really wonderful woman working in that spot. And, but it's easy to get overwhelmed. And I've been in those kinds of jobs, so it's easy to get overwhelmed. So it was like a barometer. And as the leader, I would watch that. And if it started to swing a little too hot, I would go right in and actually sit next to her.
Yeah.
And work, you just be there.
Yeah.
And I watched my father do that as the CEO of a bank. So it's the end of the day and a teller isn't balancing.
Yeah.
My father would, as the president of the bank, would actually stand in the teller window and help that teller. So I would hear from his employees. In fact, I had a friend who worked for him say, "Your dad is amazing. He understands. He doesn't come in and say, and it's not a, it's not a bad thing. Like you said, accountability. It's there to help." And
it's a good thing. I look at that as presence. You're present. It's not you're looking from a distance. If you're observing, that's fine. But when you see young leaders, young people, and when I say that is a leader can be of any age. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Nowadays you have an older workforce that are coming back in because they need the income.
Right.
But they may have never been taught leadership. they've been doers all their life. They've been hard workers. That's great. But now leadership. But you got to be present with them as a strong leader. And I think that's where where that is so important, is when you're that top leader, you're with them no matter if they're struggling or if they're successful at what they do. You're present with them. And I think that's one of the key points is in leadership, that creates that connection with each other.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I want to come full circle to close out here about, I remember a conversation we had quite early in our time together as weekly accountability partners. We used to talk every Monday. You said, Elle, you need to think like a leader, talk like a leader, eat like a leader. Like
it is all of that.
That is integrity.
Yeah.
When you're wishy-washy in your own leadership of yourself, and we all have our sticky points, the places where if someone was observing us, they'd be like, what? Right? So, you know, if you can start to clean up a few of those, it makes a huge difference in all the areas of your life.
Yeah. Those are those blind spots that you don't see. And you do have to look in a mirror quite often and do some self-reflection and do some silent time with yourself, because it's hard to get silent time. It's hard to get away time because your mind's always going on things. I've got to get this done. I got to get that done. You know, and it's seasons of life as well. You know, it's one of the things I talk about often in my processes. We're all in different seasons.
Oh, I love that.
You know, we truly are. You know, I'll go from, you know, you get out of college, you're in a fresh season, truly a fresh season. New opportunities, new jobs, looking for a path in life. Not every kid coming out of college knows what path, or tech school or wherever you're coming out of high school. You don't know where your path is yet.
Yeah.
It's a new season. And then suddenly you get married. It's a new season. Your time investment is different. Everybody says, well, you got to live a balanced life. Well, it depends on what season you're in.
Yes, right.
It really does depend on what season. And again, that's one of the conversations I have with these group leaders is you get some people that are in a season of family.
Right.
And then you get the people that are new coming onto the team that might be just married. You say, you people are in different seasons.
Yes.
You know, they're spending a lot more time with family because they have baseball games, they have soccer games, they have music, they have this, they have that, but it's kids.
Right.
And if you're present with your team, you understand that.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to step up and do a little extra because you know your teammate has a family to take care of too.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you get to a season where kids are going off to college and you're not quite empty nesters. I mean, we aren't at base. We have 7 kids. You're pretty familiar with that. You know, a lot of them went off to college last year, came home, but this year we're going to be down to 1 child at home out of 7 that we had. But it's just a different season. We can do more things differently than we did before.
Right.
And as a team, you understand each other's family dynamics. You understand, as a strong leader, you know, how do I step up to help support the team members? Again, you're building that safe environment with your team and always knowing, what can I do a little bit more today to help this team out? How can I be more responsible with this team? I can be held accountable because we're going to have those discussions.
Yeah,
but there are always seasons in life that balance things out.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know,
yeah.
I remember a leader who was single, working, it was nothing for him to work 8 to 8 or 9 at night. He comes in at 7 in the morning or just work because he didn't have a family to go home to. But one of the people working for him was older and newly married. So they're having dinner together at night and then going out to a show or going to a game or you know they're experiencing a relationship. And this person said to me, can you explain to him how some of us have lives other than work? Because it's easy to forget when you're in a certain
you do. And when you're in a good team dynamic, it's not it's really something you need to bring up in the meetings, not the meetings after the meetings, not the side meetings, not this thing. It's as a team, and saying, you know what, hey guys, we all are, and then that's why I tell my teams, talk about the season of life you're in.
Right.
I just I recently saw a post of a business owner that I coached for quite a while, and his team. I saw him out on a vacation, and it was really neat to see this because his kids are growing up. They're at that stage where they're beyond their yeah, I guess you could say you stay home and keep them, cuddled and things like that. You're actually, now they're taking big family trips. It was neat to see that. But as they
Oops. Wave.
see that, we need to make sure that our team as a whole knows where we are. That helps each other balance and spread their time out.
Yeah.
Now I enjoy. We can talk forever on
know.
leadership.
We've got to stop.
And just our lives and what's going on. We can do that. And I know we need to come to an end soon. That's unfortunate, but yeah.
It's so great, Tim. You brought up some really unique things. The safety issue is one I think is super important, and the seasons, safety, seasons. If those are the two big takeaways, this is what I'm taking away, is really understanding that. And as we talked about with the presence, who are you as a leader with your team? Are you, are you really present with your people, or are you so distant that there's a disconnect? So I love what you do with teams. I think it's so important. And if you're interested, reach out to Tim, because getting your team to start to function again in a world-class way, I love that you bring that forward.
World class is important. Mindset of thinking.
Yes. Yeah.
So good. Thank you, Elle. I appreciate your time
so
today.
Much.
Awesome.
This
Are we going to stick on or?
Yeah, we're going to stop and stay right here. Yeah. Bye. Thanks everybody for watching.